Good evening. Thank you all for coming tonight. I'd like to call this meeting to order. Has everyone had an opportunity to look over the agenda?
Move to approve.
Second.
The agenda is approved. Has everyone had an opportunity to look over the minutes from the last meeting?
There's an error in the spelling of my name on the second page in director's report.
Okay.
It's correct everywhere else.
So if we could get that fixed.
Yeah.
Maybe. With that correction, do we have a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, the minutes are approved from July 24th with that one correction. And director's report.
Good evening. How's everybody doing? All right. So I'll talk to you tonight. I don't have a whole lot to discuss with you, but obviously what Parks has been doing the last couple of months is what we've been doing the last couple of months, trying to make sure that the city is being maintained through mowing, weed eating, the landscaping. Hopefully you've noticed we just did a flower change out to bring in fall in the last 2 weeks. What we're going to see now, obviously we're not, well, I should be a little careful how I say this. It doesn't appear that we're seeing 95 and 100-degree days. So for us, what does that mean? That means the grass isn't going to grow as fast. It's not going to challenge us as much as it has all summer. So hopefully we'll be able to get somewhat caught back up. We've had a little bit of a struggle this summer. We started out our mowing season with our temporary staff, and we had probably 14 at one time right there in the first week or two. But that dwindled down very, very quickly. And we have been working with basically about 6-7 part-time people the whole summer, which is pretty much what we did during previous to the last 3 years with COVID. We've been at those numbers. We're not coming out of that yet. We're trying. We created some incentives with our part-time staff to try and create avenues for them to make more money, and that's been successful for the ones that have been there. But we're just not seeing the numbers, I guess is the best way to say it. We're not seeing the numbers with us. And that's a struggle because obviously trying to maintain the city does require staffing. And I've always said this and will continue, while we have a wonderful staff, we cannot do what we do without the auxiliary help that we get. So while we're sorry to see summer go, we're also a little excited to give those that have been with us and our full-time people a chance to catch up a little bit. The next time, so what are we doing now moving forward? The next time we'll sit down and talk, you will see that the city is going to be decorated for the holiday season. That's part of who we are and what we do. We're excited, as we are every year, to put up the holiday decorations. And I know it sounds silly, but that's actually, you don't just throw them up. We actually have been planning our plan of attack on how we're going to put them up this year. It's a very much a group effort from the police department to 4 or 5 staff members every day for 2.5 weeks, depending on weather, to get these decorations up and throughout the city. So that's where we're heading. I'll talk to all of you, but mainly Mr. Hinkle, who has Northeast Creek Park and lives adjacent to it, right? Pretty much
2 blocks away.
2 blocks away. Over the next, we have put bids out to do some maintenance work on shelter number 2 to try and bring it up for a better standard. The playground side of the park when we talk about that, that's where the splash pad is. We've got a new set of restrooms over there. That side of the park is almost done. And what we really wanted to do was try and dress up shelter number 2 to kind of meet the standard of the rest of the park. And we're in the process of bidding out some work to be done on that shelter and restroom area. Now, make no mistake, it is not going to look like the bathrooms that we have. It's impossible. But we're going to maybe do some things out there to give it a better appearance and maybe help it out so we can get some more life out of it in that side of the park. And we'll move from there when that is done. We'll be finished with that side of the park, and that's an achievement that all of us should be proud of. And then we'll start focusing on the ball field side of the park. So I want to talk a little bit about that. We have if you're not aware, for those of us that have known Northeast Creek for years, we call it the area where the lagoons were. There were 2 lagoons out there that have been filled in and cleared. And if you've noticed, you've seen some work being done out there. We've kind of leveled that area out a little bit. I actually meet later on this week with the city's engineer, and what we're trying to do now is get a feel for what can be done out at the site to make it somewhat usable for our public. Now, there's a couple different options we're going to look at. What can we do today with it? What's it going to take to get it playable? And then the third option being, what's it going to take to make it competitive? A little more than playable, in other words. So we'll meet this week, later on this week, and have those discussions. My understanding is they've got some numbers for us to talk to me about what it's going to take to get us to what stage. I don't expect the city to jump and go and do a lot of work out there all at one time. This will be a process that is going to take place, which is fine. The good news is we're starting that process. We haven't forgotten about the boardwalk. We know it's struggling. We know it's in bad shape. There are some opportunities out there for grants that the city has applied for, and hopefully we'll get one. Make no mistake, there is no quick / easy fix to the boardwalks out there. I have walked those boardwalks as recently as 2 weeks ago.
You're a brave man.
I was getting ready to say, one of them is blocked off. I know people still kind of navigate through that. That is not a boardwalk you want to walk on. It is not safe. That's why it is blocked off. The second boardwalk is obviously in much better shape, but hopefully we'll get some positive news about that area, and we'll be able to start checking boxes at Northeast Creek. We've got a brand new boat ramp down there. We're doing some really good things, and nothing's going to make me happier than to see that park keep progressing forward. It's not a new park. Northeast Creek was developed when?
Mid-80s.
Mid-80s. It's not a new park. Other than that, we do our landscaping around the city. I wanted to bring you up to date on some of that stuff. We're doing our we're getting ball fields ready for Susan. Her group has kickball leagues and fall ball, and I know a good example is today. I think we had to get 8 fields ready today. 4 of them on the youth side and 3 of them on the other side, and then down here at LP Willingham, the Magnet School was having a girls softball game down there today. So we're very busy. We're doing a lot of different things. I think the thing that we can all take away that I'll leave you with is, good news is, last week we had a weather event, and from our seat, I'd say we're very lucky. We didn't really get too much damage around any of the parks, and for that matter, I think the whole city. So, any questions about anything I've talked about?
What was the date that the holiday decorations start to go up?
We generally try and put that up at the end of October. The important date for us is to try and get it up before our tradition has been to get it up before the parade. Now, I do think the parade is backed up a little bit this year. If I'm correct, and don't quote me on this, but I believe it's the Saturday before Thanksgiving this year, which is, I think that's back a little further than maybe traditionally it has been. Sometimes months fall a little differently, and so we may have a little extra time to do that.
Is there any new business, old business? Susan?
All right, so I'm gonna do two things. I'm gonna give you an update on recreation side of the house, and then I'm gonna give you an update on the 400 acres and the good work that's been going on pretty aggressively behind the scenes, so bear with me. So last we met was July. Obviously, it's a busy time for Michael, but it's a really busy time for my folks. In the middle of summer, we had a great summer. We had a very active summer. I do have some pictures for us at the end, so I'll show you all of our kiddos that ran around all parts here and beyond with all of our programs in our summer day camp, but it was a successful summer. In addition to all of our summer programs, we did operate splash pads. I wanted to let all of you folks here at the table and those of you watching at home, splash pads we kept open through the month of September. So if it was warm enough this past month or even today and tomorrow and up until Friday, we'll still be open. So traditionally, pools tend to close down that Labor Day weekend, but we really realize that our community really loves those splash pads, so we are keeping it open until the last day of the month, which is Friday for us. So anybody watching it, yes, you have a few more days. But they've been very popular, just a really positive amenity, I think. Both of them are, so we're excited that we're able to provide that to them. Another nice project that we were able to complete are the courts at Kerr Street. We've had some challenges. As you know, we got them done right before Florence decided to flood them and sit on the brand new project of newly resurfaced, but we did have them resurfaced again. So they did do a little bit of a mill job and they repaired the cracks and they repainted. But this time we were actually able to reconfigure the courts to add pickleball courts. So now what we have are 4 pickleball courts and 2 tennis. And my staff went ahead, so far they've done really well, but we've added the nets, they're portable nets on rollers down there. So you're able to play pickleball on the nets that are down there and as well as the tennis court. So if you get any calls from any citizens, our courts are up and running and lights are on those courts. So I know it's a nice bonus for some of those folks. So we've had some good feedback on that. Another project we will be finalizing in the next couple of weeks, and I'll be able to share with you one of the nice things we've done in partnership with the TDA, or what I'm going to call basically kayak vending machines. So it's new to the area, but basically the concept is they come in, it's a company out of, I want to say Michigan, and they're kayaks, the paddle, and a life vest, all in like a cage. And so you reserve on your phone, it's all mobile, you put a deposit down and you reserve a kayak, it gives you a code, and then you punch in the code and you watch a safety briefing. You have to confirm that you watched a safety briefing and that you realize what you're gonna go do with these kayaks, but it allows you to rent the kayaks by the hour. So it's pretty exciting. I did lots of research on other places that have had them, so we're not the first in North Carolina. Several coastal towns have started this venture. But we're excited that we're actually bringing 3 to the area. So all of our water access points, which is the Landing, Riverwalk Marina, and Northeast Creek Park. So we're going to start off with 4 kayaks at each location, and they will be available for people to rent at their own leisure. And because we negotiate, and it is a revenue share, we were able to negotiate a pretty economical fare. So I think it's either $5 or $10 for an hour for our folks to rent a kayak. So we wanted to be accessible and provide those kayaks to every place we have water access. So we're very excited about that. So stay tuned. We're hoping to have those installed sometime in October.
Are they singles, doubles?
Singles.
Okay.
Singles.
Stand up, sit down?
Well, right now they're all sit in,
Okay.
but the company does have stand-up paddle boards available. So if at some point, it'll be nice that we will also get a usage report, because everything is digital and everything is reportable. We'll get a report every month showing what the usage is. And so at some point, if we have, overwhelming, we can upgrade to 8 kayaks, for example, or we can actually trade some out for maybe stand-up paddle boards. So right now they're just kayaks.
That was my next question, is about the paddle boards.
Yeah. I don't know where we would put the stand-up paddle boards, just because the feedback I get on a lot of our waterways is about the alligators, but I certainly am open to putting them somewhere. If I get feedback on any of the locations, I don't mind putting them wherever people want them, but we'll see. So we're excited about that project, really good partnership with TDA. So that came from their pockets. So thank you to them, we were able to do that. Just looping back around, we had a very good summer. We had lots of athletics. I will say that volleyball, tremendous growth in our volleyball program. We are thrilled. I think I can't mention this enough about having Jack Amiette as an option to add indoor sports. But we're taking advantage of it every second we have with not just volleyball, but now we have an after-school program over there. Pickleball has been moved over there. We're offering Saturday pickleball. It's just been so nice to have a facility that we're able to offer stuff in. And right now we're just, if I'm being truthful, keeping the rentals at bay so that all the rentals are kind of getting, to the commons so that we at least free up our public facilities for our public right now. As you know, there's not many weekends that we don't have the commons booked for some large event, something. So we're just not as available for some of those nice amenities on the weekends and evenings. But we're certainly busy with volleyball, baseball, kickball, softball. We've done some pickleball clinics this summer. We have a dodgeball tournament planned. So we just have some good stuff on the horizon. And then after all of this, we have some other good stuff planned. Obviously, we're working on all of our fall and winter events. So look for your calendars to show a really nice Veterans Day tribute event. As you know, I do work with TDA on that, and this one is going to look a little bit different. We're really focusing on entertainment. It's Friday night. We're doing a band and then a laser light show afterwards. So it's going to be really just geared towards honoring our veterans, our active military, and letting them just to have a good night to kick off the Veterans Day weekend. And then we have the TDA has lots of other stuff. The powwow is that weekend. There's lots of good things that are planned. So we want to be able to do that on the very forefront of the weekend.
I did attend the laser show last year, and it was incredible.
Yeah.
So who's ever watching out there, and for everyone in here, if you didn't go, you missed out. It was really something. It really was.
Thank you. Yeah, we always like to find new and different things to bring to the area, and I tend to agree. So we're hoping to just, keep doing some good stuff like that. So yeah, that will be that weekend. And then Winterfest, first weekend in December, and then lots of other good stuff we have for all of the holidays. But we'll have a meeting before then, and I'll be sure to share all of that with you. All right. Any questions on any kind of housekeeping stuff before I give you a fun update on the other stuff? Okay. So as you know, we have been working really diligently behind the scenes on the McAdams consultant came in. They've done all of the focus groups. They came and talked to this group, which was the first group, but then they followed up with public input meetings, stakeholder meetings. They were at National Night Out. We had public input meetings at the rec department, multiple locations here at City Hall. So we've done a really concerted effort to get our public input in person, but we also have done multiple ways of trying to get it through the survey. A statistically valid survey went out through a company that focuses just on that. The goal was 400 valid surveys, and they did achieve that. I think last number I heard last week was they actually received about 420. In addition to that, we had a public survey, same survey. It just wasn't geared from the company, but it was open to the public, and we have over 100 on that as well. So we're very excited. We got some good input. They seem to think that that was a really great response from the public standpoint, and they are actively compiling all of that. That is going towards what I'll just say is our master plan for the department, and that's the overall picture. In addition to that, we also had a meeting in the sports group, and the economic driver and the economic discussion for the 400 acres has also been concurrently happening. So just some things that I got from the consultant I want to make sure to share with you. Let's see. Some of the gentleman that is running that athletic component, he did an analysis, and he looks at things in comparison to other areas like ours. And he did say that basically our market is the youngest. I don't think there's any surprise there, but this can indicate there's certainly a likely to support and participate in amateur sports due to the presence of a working age population and young families. So that kind of tells them what is going to be supported and what's a potential opportunity when it comes to what do we want this facility or facilities or whatever this project is going to look like. A high percentage of households with children in Jacksonville indicate a large potential of a user base. The phone interviews with the user groups indicated that there was a strong interest in a sports facility rental in the area. So in other words, he did a lot of stakeholder meetings. So he met with obviously the sports commission, but he also met with the soccer groups and maybe the rugby groups. He met with just about anybody we could potentially give him. We gave him a large list, and he had 30 plus people that he did interviews with. And basically what they're saying is there's just not enough indoor facilities, but if you had one, we would rent it and we could utilize it, and therefore it could bring economic impact. So he had some really strong feedback on that. He definitely thinks that our strong hotel and retail and restaurant inventory is a positive for our area. The perception that he got from everybody that is either here or people that a lot of what he focuses on is, where is it that you're going and traveling to? What is it that you're seeing out there? But everybody seemed overwhelmingly positive in regard to our safety of our community. He really said that that was a positive, and the fact that we have a good reputation for safety and that this community is a good place to be and to bring families. So that was really nice to hear. There was some discussion that people want more entertainment and attractions when it comes to coming into our community. So that's going to just play into what do we do with this property, and maybe what do we tie into it? How do you entertain the entire family? Those sort of things. So this is just preliminary information that we've gotten. I will say that council is going to be briefed on this on a presentation on October 17th. So I certainly would encourage you, if not to chime in or to listen or to watch or certainly be present. They will be the first group that hears more of what I just mentioned, but the goal is to give them a very good overview of what they've done thus far, and then some of that feedback I just gave you. I just gave you a 50,000 foot view on some of the feedback I've gotten thus far, but it's been exciting. I think it's gonna really drive some good conversation and some good opportunity. I will just remind the public and everybody at this table, there's been no discussion on necessarily any design or any concept specific. This is where we wanted to hear, one, what is needed, and two, what is it that we think could maybe be supported, so that now the next phase is going to be about that. What is it that we need to do, and what could this potentially look like? But we've not had those discussions. We heard a lot of concerns about the traffic and those sort of things. So we absolutely realize that that is going to have to be addressed when those design discussions take place. But none of those design discussions have taken place. The first thing is to kind of brief council and then get their feedback, and then go from there as far as next steps and what this looks like. So the goal, the timeline, which they're doing a good job, is staying on point. The goal is to have something kind of a rough idea, a rough draft, I think towards the end of the year, beginning of spring for sure. I know that was a mouthful, but I'm open to any questions if you would like.
The surveys that are from the company, are those the QR codes that have come out
Yes.
from the city?
Well, there's two. The QR codes were actually the same survey, but to the public. Those same surveys are statistically valid, went directly to homes, and only those people in those homes could fill out. It was the same survey, but they're going
Different
to
results.
they're going to report those statistically valid results when it comes to making sure we get a cross-reference, making sure we've hit all of our demographics, making sure that that is statistically valid. Because to his point, no offense to certain groups out there, but the public survey could be skewed. If you want a soccer complex and you send it to all your soccer friends, you could have that doesn't make a necessarily still good information, but the statistically valid is what's going to go into the official report when it comes to our master plan and our comprehensive look at what we need to bring to the community.
Any questions for Susan?
I want to share with you real quick, last week Susan and I and Mr. Ray and a couple other people actually did a little ride around out on the 400 acres now. Make no mistake, there's not a lot of areas that you can ride around out there, but it's pretty impressive where we were able to go and the things you're able to see and look at the property out there. And that's a big piece of property. That's a huge piece of property. It's a lot of opportunity out there.
A lot of grass mowing.
I don't think a lot, well, we'll see.
Were you surprised about the elevation out there?
Well, the elevation, I think that's one of the neatest things about there, yeah, Jacksonville's not as flat as you think it is. There is some elevation changes out there, which hopefully, as we continue down this road, that we're gonna be able to work into some sort of plan, whether it's for trails or whatever, or challenge courses, whatever things that we can do, we could maybe utilize some of those amenities. And I'll call them amenities.
For a zip line.
Oh, zip line. We did get a lot of feedback. I will say some of the feedback we got, they did a really good job of being at National Night Out. And so they did these boards where they got feedback. Certainly a lot of those sort of programs came up. Obviously, indoor facilities were on the list quite a bit, but it was neat to hear some of those things that people are looking for and asking for. So that will be part of the report out that everybody gets or the council gets on the 17th. But the property is very impressive, so it's exciting. So, yeah. Any other questions for me?
Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
Both of you, thank you very much. Our next council report.
Thank you. Good evening, everybody. I got an opportunity with neighborhood improvement to meet with the Georgetown community. And as well, I met with the Bayshore community within the last month. One of the issues that's coming up now is the homeless.
Sure.
Like we instructed those individuals is that if you have a problem, call 911. Everybody has the right to use the parks, and as long as they're not creating a problem, they can use the parks just like anyone else.
Right.
We might need to look at our rules in terms of certain things. That, we're gonna probably need to do more patrolling, which the chief has been contacted concerning that. But that's the main thing, and I'm sure the other parks and the communities adjacent to those parks, because I know we have had some folks out there, but there were no problems. So, and the other issue that came up, a young man talked to me, and they said he's talked to you before about senior softball.
Oh, yes, I know. I know where that's coming from.
Is that Mr. Mayor? Is that his name?
Yes, sir, it is. And we have offered it, well, yes, absolutely. I'm aware
Okay.
of this conversation.
Yeah. I just said I'll bring it up again.
Absolutely.
And Mr. Charles Pierce talked about what programs possibly could be offered out at the Kerr Street Recreation.
Okay, yeah.
And I could get you his number as well.
Sure. I have Mr. Mayor's.
When we're talking senior, I mean, what's the age? How senior?
Well, I heard.
Well, Mr. Mayor is referring to senior softball specific.
He
I
said
think
55 and up.
it's 55 and up.
Well, yeah, so, yeah,
Yes.
I'll make the cut, I guess. Probably won't participate, but I'll make the cut.
Me too.
I continue to get, everybody's very impressed about the way the city looks and
Right.
the job you guys do.
Appreciate that. It's very nice.
That's all for now.
We try.
Well, thank you so much. Anybody have any questions?
If I could, I wanted to also add on the homeless that it is a challenge for all of us. We did update some of our code with the help of Chief, and so we're trying to work through our rules and trying to certainly address some of our challenges. But we did update some of our code in regard to our buildings and blocking our buildings so that people are up against the buildings. So I just wanted to let you know that, yes, we are definitely aware of that challenge, and we're going to certainly keep looking and communicating with Chief, and his folks have been phenomenal about the working with those, working with our homeless population and making sure they have the resources available and any assistance. But we did do some updating to our code to try and just address a new challenge that I don't know that we've ever really had to
You
address.
said blocking,
So blocking doors and blocking the entrances to our building,
just telling people to move out of there.
yeah, we kind of had to address it in our code so that when our folks come out and take a look and talk to them, we can say, you can't be blocking the building, because we had a challenge with folks kind of up against the building and staying.
And, well, I'm gonna tell you, it's happening all over the city.
I think at the end of the
It's gonna get a
day,
whole lot worse.
to echo what Councilman Jackson said is, really, we need you to call the police. We really do. And then they reach out to me, and I think we're all saying the same things that are getting these calls is there's so many benefits to calling the police. And a lot of people, you know, they don't want to bother the police department. That's what we hear. That's what I hear when they call me. You're not bothering them. We've talked with Chief Yanero about this. We've talked with the police department about this. There's a benefit because it shows a pattern, which helps in the long run everybody, not the city, not the residents, helps everybody. And if we could take a minute and have some sort of public service announcement real quickly of us saying, please call the police department. There's value in that for everybody involved. And we're not gonna solve it not doing anything.
What I will say is though, don't call just because you think somebody looks homeless.
Right. Yeah, well, that's
Because
not a reason to call.
you don't know what that,
Right.
I don't know what that looks like.
I don't either.
You know,
Well, that was gonna
there's
be my
people that-
question. Do
Go
we
ahead.
have a time of year that we have a bigger problem? Is it the winter? Is it the summer? Or has it been pretty steady?
I just say it's gonna be a growing problem. I had heard this a while back. We have pretty warm climate compared to other places where they do have homeless, so we're gonna get a shift. And it's coming, you know, just gonna continue to get worse. They used to be in the woods. Now I see people, you know, by businesses, and they're gonna be trying to do what they can do to stay warm. You have one of our also community outreach during the daytime. People are released. If you don't have any type of services for those folks to go to, and you know, just tell them to go get a job. They don't even know, and they might have mental issues or other issues. And what are they gonna do? So I say this: if nobody's causing a problem for anybody, don't just keep calling people for that. You know, because you think somebody looks like something. I lived up in Washington, D.C., and I seen millionaires that look homeless. And they weren't the one that were panhandlers, you know, so, you know, it's, I just say, tell people to be careful about how you identify our citizens, because they are citizens, you know. But for anybody that's causing any activity, I know the Bayshore community was concerned about drug interactions and people handing out stuff during the park or what have you, park different hours, so. And other activities that might happen at parks, you know, we have to be concerned about. But just because people think someone looks a certain way, that's not gonna be the best way to fix any kind of problem. Matter of fact, you might be creating one.
True.
So,
True.
but that's all, folks.
Any more questions? Planning Advisory Board Liaison Report.
Well, since Parks and Rec didn't meet in August, I guess we decided not to meet in August either. But we did meet in September, and I can report that in the September meeting, we reappointed our officers. So yours truly is still chairman for another year.
Congratulations.
And the one topic that we did discuss, we're beginning to look through the Unified Development Ordinance section by section. And the first section that we were tasked with looking at had to do with spacing between certain establishments. I'm sure you're familiar with, for example, in some cases, adult businesses. We went with an approach where we would space them apart by ordinance so that they wouldn't cluster in one area and make sort of like a second front. And so the question was whether that is a valid approach to other kinds of businesses, like for example, they were mentioning vaping stores, anything. And so basically what we were told is that, you know, just go out and look around the city and just see what you notice, and then when you come back again, just be prepared to note whether there should be, because it might not need one. I mean, but if we don't have our awareness raised up, we won't have any input. So that was really most of what we discussed at our meeting. That's it.
Didn't we discuss previously about drive-throughs, like Dunkin' Donuts and Starbucks?
Yes.
New Starbucks that's getting ready to open.
It is, but
It's not ready to open yet. But
what I was told by the planning department was that they typically, since they cannot have a quote, a rule for the busy businesses or the good businesses versus the one that rarely gets business, they all have to have the same rule. And so they typically wait until there's a problem and then they have to react to it. And hopefully, like in the case of Dunkin' Donuts, that, they get around to doing something about it. In the case of Starbucks, we're just gonna have to wait and see. Hopefully, they've got it figured out. And I drive by there, so I go right by there. I'm not a Starbucks person, but just not a coffee drinker, but I'll notice. And so a lot of us will. I mean, it's not like it's close to City Hall, so it'll be noticed.
I think everybody will notice.
Yeah, and if there's traffic problems, it'll basically clog up some arteries because, I don't know if you're aware of it, I was told this once by somebody. You know, the light where I call it the old Marine Chevrolet building, but there's a church there now. Did you know that there are 3 lights? There's 2 greens, and then there's a light that lets you turn toward Infant of Prague, toward Newbridge. But you know that the 2 green lights never turn red.
Right.
Yep.
Always
Never
green.
noticed that.
Yeah, they never.
Yeah, you can.
I'm surprised they don't burn out. But just,
There's no reason for them to ever be red.
Yeah.
that's right.
There's
Well,
no left.
Right, there's no left.
there's
there.
no left
left there.
anymore.
There's
At
no
one
left.
time, it was you turn in Marine Chevrolet, and
Right.
as a matter of fact, that's another thing that was discussed. Is, most businesses tend to go where there's business. So in the past, what we saw back in the '60s, we saw all the car lots on Regina Boulevard.
Right.
Then we saw them all move out of town on 17. And so it's not so much that they're in one place and they go to another, but what do they leave when they leave there? Do they leave someplace that you can actually do something with? They certainly leave a lot of asphalt. But there may be rules and requirements of things that you have to do with that asphalt if you've left it out there so long. I know we raised a lot of eyebrows when we made the U-Haul place on at where the Triangle. We made the U-Haul come to meet the code standards for grassy area and sidewalks, and they were good tenants, and they did what they had to do, and it certainly looks nice there. But that cost them a pretty penny to have to do that. So anyway,
Well,
that's
thank
my
you.
report.
Thank you.
Hopefully, I'll have something more to tell you next time too.
Any questions? Okay, let's move on to our park reports. Wooten Park.
Okay, Wooten Bar is great, no problems, water fountain, equipment, restrooms. Saw a few anthills, that's normal, especially around the sidewalk where the restrooms were, but swings, everything was in good shape. Equipment's well taken care of, looked after, the grounds, everything was clean. Everything looked good. I couldn't find anything. The building still could use some paint, I guess, on the front. But well maintained. Really looked good. Picnic area, the shelter, all was in good shape. So I think people can be real proud of it, I think.
I would like to say something about Wooten Park also. September 2nd, we had Jack Belfort Homes had their 63rd anniversary. For those that don't know, it's actually a planned Black community because the way things were back at that time, segregated communities. There was an area built, so a lot of the staff NCOs, a lot of the Mumford Point Marines started out homes there. And it became pretty intact because back then the spouses would leave and the families would stay around. So we became more of a family. But I called Michael, I said, man, we're having problems with anthills. I was just seeing them and folks came out there right away and they took care of the situation. So definitely appreciate the response. And we had a great time.
Yeah, well, I heard the event went really well, and Helen and I had a lot of conversations about it leading up to it. I hope the park met the needs for that group. That group is important to Jacksonville historically. It's important to me because I know a lot of those people. I went to school with them, spent a little bit of time with them, and wanted to make sure that, that the park was as special as the event.
Yeah, it was.
Lori.
Richard Ray, no issues, no problems. I mean, just like the normal stuff that goes on, but it's always taken care of right away. Yeah, Jack Emiett, looks great. I did on the water park, the splash pad, I had my friend's 6-year-old granddaughter told me that she had more fun at the splash pad than she did on my boat, so. Wanted to go back to the place that spit water out, in her, what she said.
That is a
So,
good return on investment.
kudos to that. I did have one question about Jacksonville Landing. At one time, weren't we, the city and the county, gonna do some type of informational booth or something there?
Visitor center. I think that's still on the table. It's just a little bit out there. I can try and bring back more information for you, maybe the next
That's
meeting.
fine, it just, we were talking, it
But-
just clicked in my head that.
But no, there is a visitor center that has been planned. Obviously, the city purchased, and correct me if I'm wrong at any time, the city purchased the old Exxon building and knocked it down, I believe, or did they knock it down? Yeah,
Yes.
they knocked it down, and I think that's the intent, or was the intent at least. And I know, again, working with tourism, that facility is scheduled down the road a little. How far, I'm not sure.
The idea of it would be a great welcome center.
Yeah.
And we look for I say stay tuned for right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks, that's all I have.
Great question.
Mr. Spring?
Oh, and by the way, for those of us who've been around a real long time, that, before it was Exxon, it was a Sinclair station. My dad used to work there back in the 60s.
And Cedric's used to be down there and a couple other places.
I think his last day working there was when they got held up. He was locked in the bathroom, and mom wouldn't let him work there anymore.
St. Clair.
Yes. I'm amazed. Usually when we have a weather event at Sherwood, you have a lot of trees down. So if the trees came down, they got up real quick, and not by themselves probably. But when I looked at it, I half expected to see a bunch of trees down, and I didn't. So kudos to the job they did cleaning it up. It looks really nice. If you didn't know any better, you'd swear we didn't have any kind of weather at all. So same thing with Branchwood, although Branchwood presents a different situation because the trees are more on the perimeter and not so much in the middle. So Branchwood was fine. Actually, when I went out there were some people down on the far end enjoying the swings. And then there was a couple of people that were walking their dogs. Usually what happens is the people in the neighborhood will take their dogs down there. They'll enjoy the park down there. It's more of a, you live there, you walk there, you enjoy the park. And that's all it'll ever be, I guess. But that's okay. They love it. That's it for me.
Thank you. Mr. Hinkle?
Thanks. Mike,
Yes,
I'll
sir.
tell you that you can definitely tell where the city maintenance cutting the grass ends and the state takes over.
I think that's a good thing.
Yeah, it is. I mean, you can definitely, it's like, yep, ends right here. The boat ramp gets a lot of use. My neighbor uses it multiple times a day. He likes to fish.
Awesome.
Yeah. The park looks good. I mean, it's in great shape. The splash pad, you can definitely tell when school starts. Because before, the minute that thing turned on, there were hundreds of kids there. Now, there's still plenty of kids that use it on the weekend, but not near as many during the daytime. But the weekends, packed. To get back at that, so shelter one, the men's room had no soap. And the towel dispenser, so when you pull on the towels, like it's not locked, so the whole roll kind of falls out at you. You got to catch it.
Okay.
So I don't know.
That's
how
all right.
Yeah, but there were towels in there, so that was good. And the drinking fountain doesn't work. And then, yeah, outside there, it just, nothing's coming out. And shelter number 2, that drinking fountain doesn't work either. And
Yeah, and it may be from, if you've noticed, the well is gone. I know you and I talked a little bit before the meeting, and I'm not sure if they shut the water off over there for that, but I don't think they did. Was it before they did any of the well work?
well, it hasn't worked, since the last meeting. Yeah. So the drink fountain doesn't work. There's still no trash can in the men's room. And on the playground, that slide, it's got the music box, and on the other side, it's got the giggle box. The music box doesn't work. You can sit there, punch the buttons, and nothing happens. So
I think we've ordered that piece. It just is gonna take a while. I think when we ordered it, they said 6 months.
Okay, I don't know if these batteries or what the heck, I don't know how it works. But other than that, place looks good, gets lots of use.
That's good.
Okay, Northwoods, for me, I have Brook Valley and Northwoods. Northwood looks great. Brook Valley, I can definitely see that you've either replaced or painted over a lot of the steps that we had talked about.
Mhm.
There is one small area, it's up on the landing, but I took a picture and I'll send that to you.
Thank you.
And some of the parents pointed out to me, there's a large limb. It's really the only damage I saw from the storm. There's a large limb that's hanging in a tree. And the father brought me over to show it to me and said, hey, this is gonna be an
Right.
issue.
Right,
So
right.
I'll send you that photo as
Awesome.
well.
That's
But like I
awesome. Thank
said,
you.
Northwoods looks great. And those were the only two things over at Brook Valley.
Awesome. Pictures are always helpful, trust me.
And Mr. Maxwell.
Good evening, everyone. I have trails to rails. There are a few rotten boards, but there's nothing significant to hinder anyone from using it. It looks good as usual. The pine needles are constantly blown off.
Yes.
The commons, lots of activity from the pavilion to softball or basketball. Pretty much not as Mr. Hinkle said, you can tell school's back in because during the summer it was used from morning till night.
Right.
Softball, lots of things going on. And the ditches are good and clear, so it
Water flows.
water flows, no storm.
Did you notice our addition over at the basketball court?
Yes. No French drains. But I wanted to know, was there any potential for a soccer goal facing probably about 30 feet from the basketball court?
You'd probably have to ask Susie that question.
Because those guys use that area for soccer.
But they're not bringing their own goal out.
They're bringing little small goals.
Yes.
Yeah, we don't, the soccer groups are a private group, and so they tend to bring their own goals and then they take them away, which is absolutely fine with us if they want to be in a green space. It's certainly fine with us. We just don't typically set equipment in that regard.
As a home.
As a home,
Okay.
because we don't know who would be using them, and we don't rent those spaces out. We
We
don't
don't want to take on the
schedule a practice,
responsibility
for
of
example, yeah.
the ownership.
But they're welcome to, yeah, absolutely. Any open space people want to use, I know they're using them.
Yeah, the walking paths look great, and I see you guys still out there weed eating and mowing every day.
Got to.
Looks great.
Thank you.
Phillips Park, moderate usage, but it's steady usage. So it's being used, and I see sporadic amounts of kids out there playing on the equipment.
And just so you know, that's also where the flag football,
Yeah, so our flag football
that's the
program
host site for
is
it.
on Saturdays at that location.
But other than that was about it.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Lawson, did I say that
Lozan.
right?
Lozan.
Lozan?
Woodland Parks look good, and I'm sure with all the soccer activity there, they'd let you know if it didn't. Though interestingly, yesterday there was no soccer activity there, and the Commons was packed with it.
Oh, that is interesting.
Wilson Bay, I would say most weekends that was pretty busy. Some weekends it was just a small, in my mind, an appropriate size group of people on there. They had a wedding ceremony there one weekend, which really surprised me. One issue from yesterday, they had a church group there, but the real issue was just the parking. So large group, parking lot was packed, people were parking on the grass. One guy had his truck partway over the curb, partway onto the road. So, yeah. People seem to be enjoying the place,
Yeah.
but there's just not enough parking for the number of people that were there yesterday.
And if I could, I'll just go ahead and add this on. So we do take that into account when it comes to Wilson Bay. We do have a size restriction to groups that rent that pavilion out, and we are very clear to say you cannot have but so many people. The noise, we don't allow certain things at that park as maybe some of the other parks because of the neighbors and the proximity. So it's interesting to hear you say that there was a large rental. I might get with you, or Megan might get with you to find out what weekend that was, because if they say they're only gonna have, let's say, 30 people, and they actually ended up with 100, we will take action and say, we need to offer you another park, because this is not gonna work. But as Councilman Jackson already mentioned, they're pretty vocal neighbors, and so I didn't get a call on that one yet, but they will call.
And the other thing, not that this makes it, and look, our parks are open to the public. There's many people that show up
They do.
and don't reserve
They don't reserve.
and roll the die. And you know, at that moment, it is what it is. And but you're right. And Wilson Bay is a popular area for people to get married. It's beautiful. I mean, obviously it's a wonderful setting right there on the water. So.
You said that was yesterday?
That was yesterday. But I will say, everybody I talked to down there loved it. I've talked to individual fishermen just fishing off that little pavilion out there in the water, and young families, just bringing their kids down there. It seemed like a beautiful place.
That's the site for homecoming pictures. That'll be very busy over the next couple weeks.
It's a gem.
It is.
It truly is.
Unfortunately, not so secret anymore. That's all I have.
Thank you so
Great
much.
lunchtime hangout.
It is good lunchtime.
And it is time for our one city moment.
Okay, so I didn't want to go into a whole lot of detail, but I just really wanted to, we had a great summer. I think parents and kids and COVID is behind everybody, but we had some really good, great field trips, and we really wanted to, show off our kids to many locations, as well as expose them to things that they might not have gotten exposure to. Any guesses? I'm sure several of you probably know where this was.
Battleships.
Yeah, Battleship. We certainly work with our local resources. This is a ton of fun with the fire department. We saved this for the last day of camp. Kids love it. Neat rainbow shot and nice with these. All the kids love getting wet. And again, we just try and take them to different locations and show, kids. We have 5 different locations on camps. So we have our regular Voyager camps where they have field trips. We have our base camps, this one is at Parkwood, and we bring a lot of people in because they don't go on as many field trips. We have our enrichment program, which was at Kerr Street, and then we have our teen camp. So we have lots of different ages, different types of camps, and so we try and partner with and expose these kids. These folks did some yoga. We worked with a group that did a really phenomenal job to, provide this, and they were so kind enough to donate our mats so the kids could continue their yoga practice afterwards. They did a good job standing on one leg, I do believe. Any guesses on where this is? Yeah, good job, so the fort. This is a nice partnership we do with the base. This is MCCS, and so we're able to take kids there, and this is an archery program that they learn there. And we also they have a nice rock climbing wall, and they also have kayaking. So we tend to do some stuff with the younger kids as opposed to our teens, and the teens do some of the other stuff, but we enjoy our ability to go on base and take advantage of some of those programs that MCCS offers to us. And then, of course, we got the splash pad. We take our kids to the splash pad because they love it. So this splash pad is all at Jack Emmett, and they have a good time. And that's pretty much it for me. I was just reminded, Megan wanted me to let everybody know, you'll see some stuff on our Facebook page because I know all of you are friends on there. This is our Take a Kid Outdoor Week. It's called Taco Week. And so we have some fun stuff wrapping up the summer with some outdoor activities every day this week. It's called Taco Week, and maybe we'll even serve some tacos to the kids, but it's actually Take a Kid Outdoors Week. So it's a fun way to wrap up our activities, and that's it for us.
Wonderful. Anybody have any more questions for Susan? Do we have any other business?
Did you want to make any changes or adjustments to who reports on what park?
I think everybody was pretty happy with their parks. Are you happy, Mr. Ross, with
Oh,
your
yeah, I'm
park?
always happy, yeah.
Little did you know that's how he started the night, that was his
Right.
first statement.
Yeah,
Everybody's happy.
everybody's happy.
You waited long enough for that part.
So does anybody want to switch parks or are we good? Well, we'll stay with those for now. We'll address it again in 6 months and see if everybody's still happy at that time. The next meeting is November 27th. It will be right here, again at 6 p.m. And I believe that's the Monday after Thanksgiving. So that'll be right after the parade, because the parade will be before that. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn?
Second. We are adjourned. Thank you all so much.
Thank you.